that note.
That guy.
Nice. Okay. Last time on Chumash. Where were we? How was the movie?
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, we weren't here yesterday.
How was the movie yesterday? Oh yeah, so it goes like this. So we have we're in Parshas Vayetze for all those just joining us, page 153 in your Stone Chumash edition. All right, so or 152 if you prefer the Hebrew. We were discussing the fact that Leah has her fourth son, names him Yehuda, and she says, why does she call him Yehuda? Hapam Ode Es Hashem. See, there's a difference between Hakaras Hatov and saying thank you. Has anyone heard of the phrase Hakaras Hatov before? What does it mean?
Appreciation.
So the word literally means, what's lahakir?
To recognize.
Hatov. So Hakaras Hatov means recognition of good. There's a phrase that's used a lot when you talk about it, teach children a lot about it, and people in general. You should have Hakaras Hatov. You should recognize the good, right? You should recognize the good. Hello, Diane. Yeah. You should recognize the good, but there's a difference between recognition and actually saying something. Going along with what we discussed the other day. Not enough just to recognize, but also to say, to be specific, right? So, we need both. You have to recognize the good, and you have to go out and say, thank you for the good that was given to you. There's a story that is told about Rabbi Victor Miller. Have you heard of him? Brooklyn. You're not from Brooklyn. But in any event, he's from Brooklyn. Rabbi Victor Miller died about 12, 13 years ago. When he was already older, later on in his years, at least in his late 70s, 80s, if not beyond, he was in the hospital, and the nurse came around asking if he needed like a dish for his dentures. And he said that he doesn't have dentures, that he has all of his teeth. And he was in his 80s. So she said, all of your teeth? He goes, I have all my teeth. So she goes, that's very unique, that you have a guy in his 80s that has healthy teeth. So the nurse asked, how did you do it? How do you have such good teeth for 80 years? So he goes and says to the nurse, when was the last time that you thanked God for this tooth? Right here, that one. 1, 2, 3. The fifth one, I don't know what that's called. K8, whatever. When was the last time you thanked God? Well, he didn't say that. He first asked, when was the last time we thought of that tooth? So she's like, never. So he said, I thank God for this tooth every day. And this tooth. And this one. And this one. And this one. When is it that God needs to take things away from us?
We don't appreciate it.
When we don't appreciate it. But the idea is that if you keep that appreciation up, then God doesn't have to take it away from us. So Hakaras Hatov is not just recognize. First is to recognize. The Ramban and others actually say that the whole purpose of the Bria, of creation, is for us to recognize Hashem's good and thank Him for it. That's the mentality just having Shem Da'ani in the morning, right? Really be thinking of the fact, thank you that you gave me life again. Really thinking about it. A, thanking Him for what He's given you. B, what will happen is it'll give you a start of the day that maybe you won't mess up. Yeah, if you're thanking Him already for the things He's done, now maybe you'll use them properly. So Chazal tells that there was a mistake that Leah made over here. If you look in page 153, verse 35, it says, she conceived again and bore a son and declared, this time let me gratefully praise Hashem. Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she stopped giving birth. Why did she stop giving birth? The reason she stopped giving birth is because she made a mistake. You see, because it's not just enough to recognize and to thank. Because in Judaism, we don't just say thank you and that's it. We also have to ask for more. Sounds a little bit strange, like what do you mean? But don't get greedy here. But thanking and stopping is like saying, like, okay, God, like we're done here. Thank you. Right? Thank you. Someone's putting food on your plate, you say thank you. What do? They stop. They stop. No, think about what you're saying. Oh, Svardim. Doesn't matter what you say, yeah? Thank you, no thank you.
Okay, one more. Two more.
But let's say someone's pouring you a drink, right? And you're like, thanks, but you go like this. You usually wait till you're ready and you're done. You go, thanks. And then they're like, oh, okay, that means you're done, yeah? So that's what did Rachel do? Rachel named her son Yosef. That God should Yosef Lim, that he should give me more. In any event, yeah, what you got?
Why, the way it's worded, it's like, this time let me gratefully thank Hashem. Why?
So we discussed last time that Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, Leah and Rachel, sisters, two wives of Yaakov, Bilhah and Zilpah, the maidservants, who are actually also were part of the household wives, right? That, what's that?
The Rosa sisters?
No.
No?
Not that I know of. Were they? Then they were. In any event,
Okay.
the idea nonetheless over here is what? Is that these are four, and these four are supposed to have all the Shvatim, the 12 tribes. 12 divided by 4 is?
1204?
Huh?
Well, what? Right for?
12 divided by 4.
Oh, 3.
Can't remember what you said, but yeah, that is 3. That means each one of them is supposed to have, I don't know what goes on in Philly, what math you guys do there, but the idea is what is 3? That means each one of them is supposed to have 3 kids. When she had a 4th one, she goes, oh, now I'm going to thank God. Right? Because this time I got more. But part of the problem was that she didn't recognize, what about each one that you got? What about those other 3?
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel entitled. There's certain things that they're coming to us. I don't have to thank God for that. And he says, who says you're entitled to that? Yeah, a bus driver gives you a bus, a ride, and you pay for it. What do you want? I paid for it. I'm entitled. Who says there should have been a bus that came? If you would have missed the bus, would you be happy you got it? Say thank you, right? I'll tell you another idea which you might not be able to understand, which would be good if you don't understand. But for some reason there's an idea out there that people like to have sons. When they give birth, they want to have a boy. Has anyone ever heard of such a concept? Or thought of such a thing?
It's the biggest thing is 40 world.
It's like that boy, right here, you have a girl, you're like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Bat,
man,
they say,
No.
they say, bat siman lebanim. Right? Daughters are a sign that you'll have a son. It's like, I hate the Tim said they have a son. Like, I mean, come on, what about girls? So I'll tell you, you don't get it, right?
Well, I don't, people just seem to want to have sons. I don't, even outside of Judaism.
They do, you're saying.
Yeah, it seems.
Okay, there's such a concept, right? That live all the family name.
Asia's always about it.
Asians, Indians, everyone.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you personally, it's nice to have a son, sometimes. But no, it's great to have a son, but at the same time, if I only had girls, I'd be more than happy. Like, it doesn't,
At the end of the day, it's fine, but like...
you have a beautiful child.
What would you rather have? I'm saying, when it comes down to it, it's like, what do you want? As opposed to like, of course, whatever I get is awesome. And my kids, I love them, but...
So you have like this, meaning, I'll tell you, it's, I don't know, I'm not sure how to answer it. Meaning, I say that, it's not so simple to me that yes, a son, let's put it that way. CD, it's like, if I have a child,
Exactly.
it's a niece. If it's a son, fantastic. If it's a daughter, incredible. It's not, what I tell you, in terms of Judaism, it's much easier to have a daughter. Because you don't have to raise her to be a Talmud Chacham. You just got to find the kid who did the work already. Understand? Like, so it might be easier. I'll find the scholar and I can marry her up. I don't have to deal with it.
You can save up 5 goats.
What?
Save up 5 goats.
Save a couple goats, got my dowry, and you're good to go. In any event, there's such an idea to have sons. And there was a man who had a daughter. And he went to Rav Shach. He was a big rabbi, he died in 2003. He said to him, I had a daughter. Should I make a kiddush? Should I make like a little part, like they always have a kiddush. A kiddush means like a little, what's it called?
Like a small feast.
A small little feast. They have
Or a
cake,
large
cookies,
lunch.
drinks. Everyone knows what a kiddush is? You know what I'm talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
so you know what a kiddush is? The idea, heard of a kiddush before?
Yeah, isn't that what they make on the wall?
When you make a kiddush, that's what you make. But when some people make a kiddush, Yeah, you make a kiddush. It's like a small little party. Usually it's on Shabbos day, like after davening, you go to someone's house and have cake, cookies, some, if you go wild, have some children, some kegel, yeah? You go really crazy, you bring out the good stuff, 151 proof, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, not that I've ever heard of that until a week ago, but anyway, the idea is, and that's because we're on page 153 now, the idea is that, this guy had a baby, so he said to him, Shach, should I make a kiddush? I mean, it was a girl. Shach said to him, let me ask you a question. This guy got married, and a year later had a baby girl. He said, let's say you didn't have kids for 10 years. And then God gave you a baby girl. Would you make a party? So he goes, probably. So he saved you 10 years of pain. You're not going to make a party? What's wrong with you, right? And so he made a party. All right, so that's what happens over here. So, at the bottom of page 152, I'm going to read Hebrew and English, right? Mainly Hebrew, we'll go through it. Right? Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children, and she became very jealous of her sister. She says, give me kids. And if not, beep, turn the page. What do I have to, I'm like dead if I don't have any kids. Yaakov got upset at Rachel, right? He gets angry at her. Am I in the place of God? Like you're yelling at me, like give you kids? I'm doing whatever I can. You understand? Like what else do you want me to do? Right? Am I in the place of God? Am I withholding your ability to have children? Here, take my maidservant, my maid Billah, and consort with her and have a kid, and it'll grow through me. In other words, that was very common that the maidservant would have a kid with the husband, and the child would be considered like the woman of the house. Yeah.
In the laws of slavery and all that, it mentions a lot of like you have to treat the slave better than yourself sometimes. Why is it that we're allowed to do this here?
What's the question?
The question is how come? Okay, I'm going to consider your son like mine.
Yeah.
Why is that?
That's part of the laws of slavery, Once you're getting involved in the laws of slavery, look at the whole thing. What does it say? The children become the children of the master. Right? So you're asking, well, you can treat it better than what's going on here. Well, who says that's considered worse, right? And this is the law within it. Yeah, you have to treat the slave themselves a certain way. Right? That doesn't mean that you have to treat the great-great-great-grandchildren or even the children that become part of them. So what happens over here goes and gives Shilcha, and what happens? Yaakov has a relationship with her, and she has a kid to Yaakov. Matomer Rachel, Danani Elokim, V'gam Shama B'koli V'eitin Leben. God has judged me, and He's given me a son. Therefore, I'm going to call his name Dan. Dan meaning like from the word din, which means judgment. Batar over Tele Bila Shilchus Rachel. She had another kid, another one to Yaakov. She said, Naftuli Elokim Niftalti Emachosi Gam Yecholti V'tikar Shemo Naftali. She says, now finally, I have my good fortune for women. Have deemed me fortune. I'm sorry, skip. Verse 8, sacred schemes have I maneuvered to equal my sister, and I also have prevailed, and therefore I will call his name Naphtali. I have no idea what that means in English, but in Hebrew, Naphtali, hold on a second. Okay, so Rashi explains that what happened over here, Naftule Elokim. I've been trying everything in order to get God to go and give me kids, like my sister, and now I'm actually having this kid. And that's what Naftuli means. So therefore I'm going to call his name Naphtali. But Leah, he only me let this Leah saw that she didn't have any more kids, but Zilpa, so she takes hers, maidservant Zilpa. And she goes over to Yaakov, and she has a kid, and she calls her name God. Why is she calling him God? So what does it say over there? Because it has an idea of luck. Ba, God, good luck or good fortune has come, so she called the name God, which means fortune. And then what happens next goes, there's another one, I'm very rich. I have a lot of kids now. She calls his name Asher, like from Ashir, means someone who's rich. Vayelech Ruvain b'mek tzir chitem v'yimtze dudaim basada v'yavei osan alea. You know, Ruvain goes out to the field and he finds his dudaim in the field. It's questionable what exactly this is. Maybe we'll get into this another time. I don't want to focus on it right now. I'm not skipping over it like the wells. If you want, we can actually do this. But I want to cover a little bit. Maybe we'll come back to this. He goes and he finds these didoim, whatever these didoim are, in the field, and brings it to his mother Leah. And Rachel says, basically, I have a whole deal over here. And she says, let me go ahead and have them. And she says, all right, it's not enough that you took my husband. Now you also want to take the stuff that my son brought for me. Beep, turn the page. So Rachel says, oh, let's make a deal. You know, you go and you give me the didoim, and I'll allow you to have Yaakov tonight. Tachas didoim b'nech. Now, there are times of the month, apparently, that they would be with Yaakov, right? So now it was Rachel's turn. Rachel really wanted these dudaim, whatever these were exactly. So therefore, what happened, makes a deal, and the switch you could take them instead. So that's what happens. Yaakov goes ahead, comes to the field in the night, and he sees Leah's there, and she says, "All right, you coming to me because I bought you, baby." Right, with the dudaim, and they had they slept together that night. Vayishma Elokim es Leah, v'tayv Yaakov ben Chamishi. She has a fifth son, and Leah says, God has given me a lot of schar, a lot of reward that I gave my maidservant. Goes and calls his name Schar, which means reward, Yisachar. V'tarod Leah v'tela ben Shishi Yaakov. Leah has a sixth kid and calls his name Zvadani Elokim Osi Zevet Tov Apam Yizbeleni Ishi Kilati Lo Shisha Banim Tiga Shemo Zevulun. So now it comes and says what? That God came along and He gave me a good endowment, as it translates here. So now my husband will make his permanent home with me, for I born him 6 kids. He calls his name Zevulun, which means like an endowment. So what happens after that? She has a daughter, and she calls her name Dina. Now this is a pretty wild idea. So what do we see so far? She has, Leah has Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun. Bilhah has done Naphtali. Zilpah has Gad and Asher. And so far Yosef and Binyamin don't exist yet. So we got 10 kids on the market. So what happens now? Vayiskar Elokim es Rachel, God remembers Rachel. Vayishma Eleh Elokim, and God goes ahead and listens to her. Vayiftach es Rachel, opens up her womb. She goes and she has a kid. Vatomer Asaf Elokim es Chepasi. God came along and he took away, He brought an end to my disgrace. Asaf means like to end or complete, finish. Vatikar Shemo Yosef.
Isn't Asaf the add?
Yosef, maybe. Yosef. Asaf means to finish or to gather up.
Together up.
The idea. Lasof means to gather. Asaf means either gathered or finished, stopped, took away. Atikar Shemo Yosef Lemor, Yosef Hashem Li Bein Acher. So he called his name Yosef, saying, God should give me another kid. So there's a dual meaning here. One is taking away and finishing, completing my pain. I don't have any children personally. The other one is He should add for me that I should have more children. Now here's a wild idea. Rashi brings down the Medrash. And this is a big shaila, which comes up. Big shaila is a question. Surrogate mothers. Who is the mother?
Who's the mother of what?
The surrogate mother. In other words, if you have a man and a woman, you take an egg and a sperm, and you conceive the baby in someone else's womb, who's the mama?
The one that raises you.
The one that raises you?
You mean like with modern technology, if they do that?
Yeah. What do you mean the one that raises you?
Takes care of you.
They take the
Like, obviously, the surrogate mother isn't going to be there in your life.
Time out. Are you saying an adopted parent is a parent?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Like, not in like the cases where like.
Let me ask you a question.
More than your real parents.
The person that you that raises you. Yeah.
The person that loves you the most.
So in other words, if a woman raises me, yeah, am I allowed to marry her?
Hate these conversations.
No.
Why?
Because
Technically, you
there's
could,
really,
but-
there's no right answer for it.
Really?
Because, no, not the marrying one, of course there is. But I'm
You mean she
talking about
adopted you?
loving, there's no real
Talking
answer.
about halacha here. It's a halacha question.
Otherwise, I think
I'm not asking your emotions and how you feel.
Yeah.
I guess
I don't know, what's the
technically you'd
halacha?
probably be allowed to marry, right? I'm not very good with
Are you
halacha
allowed
stuff.
to marry your mother?
No.
They're not technically.
Are you allowed to marry your mother?
No.
I don't know. I don't know what that's. I
That's
would say
another
no.
one, but so.
Your mother, the one that bore you, they gave
No.
birth to you,
No.
can you marry her?
No.
How about the one that raises you? You're allowed to marry her.
Technically, yes,
I
no.
don't know. I would say no.
In Alabama, you can.
What?
In Alabama,
It's two different forms of law.
Technically, you can.
What? Alabama, you can marry a real one.
It's two
What?
different forms of law, and technically by making one into the other, you pervert the nature of the first one.
All right, could be. So what is this question coming up? Why am I bringing it up over here? Ask your local Orthodox rabbi. So now, all right, not me.
My
Now,
local Orthodox
I'm
rabbi.
gonna say not me. So now we got like this.
Let's go in here.
So, yeah, listen, we have to look into it. Something to look into, or not. But what I will point out is like this. There was a bit of a surrogate mother thing going on over here. And that is, when Leah got pregnant with her 7th child, right? Because she had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zevulun. And then she got pregnant again and she had Dinah. She's a girl. She said the following, quoting Rashi. She said, Perish Rabbeinu, Shedana Leah Din Ba'atzma. She made a judgment in herself. She said, Im Zeh Zachar, if this is a boy, so we know there's going to be 12 Shvatim, 12 tribes. If this is a boy, Lo Tehei Rachel Achosi, and my sister won't even be like one of the maidservants. Because if I have 7 sons, that only leaves over 5 sons. And 4 are already begotten to the maidservants. You understand? There's Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun. Dan Naphtali to one maidservant, Gad and Asher to another. She has Yosef. There's only one more son to be had. And she's pregnant. She goes, if I have a son, that means that no one else will be having a son. And then my sister is going to be less.
They knew there was going to be 12.
They knew they're going to be 12. So that's why she said, Apamo des Hashem, because she knew they're going to be 12, divided by 4 is 3. Nevuas. So what happens now? She goes, if this is a prophecy. She says, if this is going to be a daughter, a son, then my sister is going to have even less than the maidservants. So she says, V'yispala, a love, she davened for it, V'nehepach l'nekeva. It switched to be a female.
What gave you the school to get all the sons?
How does that work though?
So now this is what the Gemara, this is a discussion of the Medrash. When it says it switched to be a nekeva, what does that mean? Does that mean that this baby that was in her stomach then switched to be a nekeva? Or does it mean, like many say, that Rachel was also pregnant at the same time, and she was pregnant with Dinah, and Leah was pregnant with Yosef, and so when she davened for this, that it literally switched wombs.
Oh, wait, where did you read from?
Rashi
What
That
verse
doesn't make
though?
sense though. How does that work?
on 21,
It switched wombs?
switched wombs,
Whoa.
and therefore Rachel had Yosef, and Leah had Dinah.
That doesn't make sense. That's just crazy.
Why don't they
Splitting the sea makes sense?
No.
And moving right along.
Still, that doesn't make sense.
There.
when they say switch, can it just mean they switched after birth or at birth? Like they were-
No, when they were still pregnant.
And this did the switcheroo.
They pulled the old switcheroo move.
Wait, what gave
Yet we say that the surrogate mother is actually the mother. And that Leah was Dinah's mother, not Yosef's, even though she may have conceived her. Okay, that was just for fun. All right, moving right along.
Didn't all of them have girls for each boy?
So that's a medrash, right? Also, but it's not coming off. We don't have that explicitly in these psukim. Here we have what's going on, right?
Why did they point out Dinah out of all?
Because Dinah is the one that specifically has a switch with Yosef. And the Medrash says that each one was born with a twin,
Yeah.
right? So that would mean that Dinah is not a twin necessarily, but Dinah is the 25th kid. Right? There are 12 and each have twins, so Dinah was the 25th. All right, so what happens now to go into the kid, Vayik Asher Yalda Rachel, as Yosef, Vayomer Yaakov, Lavan, Shalchein Yochel Mekom Yotze. Okay, so when you finally have this kid, when it's all finished now, he goes and says, all right, let me go and I'll get out of here. So give me my wife, my sons, my kids that I worked for, and I'm going to bust a move. Right? Because you know that I've worked for you a long time, baby. I want to take my family and bust on out. So Lavan says, so said, if I find favor in your eyes, I have learned by divination that Hashem has blessed me on account of you. Right? That's what Lavan says to him. So he says, he's making a deal. He wants to leave, right? He wants to go. So they make it like kind of an agreement to leave. Lavan doesn't want him to go because Lavan knows that he made a lot of cash because of him, right? He was blessed because of Yaakov, so he wants Yaakov to stay. So he says, all right, listen, you want me to stay, so what's your deal? Like how much do you want to pay in order to make sure that I'll stick around? So he goes, how much have I served your livestock with me, but for the little you had come and expanded substantially, that Hashem has blessed you for coming to me, and now I want to do something in my own house. He said, what shall I give you? And Yaakov says, don't give me anything. If you do this for me, I will resume pasturing and guarding your flocks. Let me pasture your whole flock today. Remove from here every speckled spotted lamb. So he comes and he says, like, listen, if I want to leave, I'll even take I don't want to say this word, but like the garbage of your flock. In other words, like the speckled ones, the ones that aren't perfect. I'll just take that. You can keep everything you have over here. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to bust a move out of here. Right? So he says, let my integrity testify from the future when it comes before my wage. Any among the goats that's not speckled or spotted, and among that's not brownish, is stolen if it's my possession. Lavan said, no problem, peace, you got it. So they go ahead and they start to make a deal. They're going to pull it out. Lavan's about to pull another shtick, pull another move on him, which we're going to deal with, God willing, tomorrow. Until then, stay tuned. It's been a pleasure. See you when I see you. If I won't take care, and bye-bye. Am I early? Because that clock is...
It's 9:54.
Let's keep going. All right, so what happens now? Lavan turns to him. That clock is killing me here. So he goes ahead and he moves all the ringed and the spotted animals from him, and everyone that had white and the blemish among them, the sheep. He left them in charge of his sons. He put a distance for 3 days for himself and Yaakov. Yaakov took care of Lavan's remaining flock. Yaakov then took for himself. All right, weiter. The bottom line is they're making a deal. He's trying to bust out of here. You want to deal with the speckled and spotted sheep, you can go into it. Okay, so we got Dudaim, speckled, spotted sheep, and wells. We hear one of them. Okay, moving along. So what happens now? He goes, says he's going to leave. So then Yaakov, then he heard the word of Lavan's son saying, Yaakov took all the stuff, and the father was belonging to the father, the master of his wealth. Yaakov also noticed Lavan in the way he was dealing with him, and it wasn't the way he was before. And God comes to Yaakov and he says, all right, time for you to bust a move. Time for you to get out of here. Time to go back to your land. This is a famous idea of when Yaakov runs away from Esav. He goes to Lavan. He's there for 22 years, and now God comes to him and says, "It's time to make you way back. You see the way Lavan is dealing with you? It's not the right way." So Yaakov says, "All right, we're gonna bust a move, but we can't do it with Lavan's consent. He's not gonna give in, so we're just gonna go. We're gonna make like a band in the night." So he goes to Rachel and Leah. And he says, listen, the way your father's been dealing with me is not the way that it's so good. And God came and he said he's with me. Right? You know that everything I've ever done, I did correctly. You know it's true, everything I do it for you. Don't tell me it's not worth dying for. You can't help it. It's not okay. Right? So your father, he's messed up with he messed with my head like 100 times. He changed wages. But God didn't let him try to mess me up. Beep 163, right? If he would try to say that this is your thing, he would change it to that, and this he would change it to that. And he kept completely and totally messing me over in every which way. Now let's just get out of here. Let's bust a move and go back to the land where the Lord has told me, back to the native land of my fathers. So Rachel and Leah said to him, what do you think that we have anything to do with our father anymore? Our father messed us over also. He just took everything of ours. So like, no problem. We were like strangers to him. He sold us and even totally took away all our money. But you know what? we're with you, right? All the wealth that God has taken away from you, our Father, belongs to us and our children, so now whatever God has said to you, let's do. So Yaakov gets up, takes his children, his wives, his camels, and he busts them with all his livelihood, his wealth that he had, and he bought land that he imparted around. He goes to his father's Isaac to the land of Canaan. Starts going back to the land of Israel. Lavan goes out to the sheep, and Rachel, while Lavan was gone, Rachel comes along, and this is a terrible point in this history. Rachel steals the idolatry that belonged to her father. She takes the idolatry that belonged to her father. Yaakov tricks Lavan by not telling him he was running. Beep, 165, and he goes and he runs away with everything he has. He gets up, crosses the river, living in a van down by the river. And what happens? He makes his way towards Gilad. Now, Lavan finds out on the third day that Yaakov ran away, that he ran away. So what happens? He takes all his people with him. He starts to run after him for 7 days. He finally catches up to him. And God comes to Lavan in a dream and he says, beware, my friend. Don't you speak with Yaakov, either good or bad. You messing with my boy. You understand? You don't mess with my boy. So what happens? Lavan goes and he finally catches up to him. Yaakov had made his tent on the mountain, and Lavan gets and he comes out to him. And he meets him and goes, what did you do? That you tricked me. You took my daughters like captives of the sword. Why did you run away stealthily? You cheated me. Nor did you tell me. I would have sent you off with gladness, with songs, with timbrel and with lyre. Yeah, which is a bunch of buhaki, but that's what he says. And you didn't even let me kiss my sons and daughters. Now you're acting so foolishly. It's in my power to harm you. But your God came and got your back. And he said, lest I go and speak good or bad. So you left, now you have left because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? All right, why did you take my idolatry? Okay? Now, Yaakov says back to him, because I was scared. I thought maybe you're going to steal my daughters from me. And he basically, what was he responding to? Not why did you steal my gods, he was responding to the first part, right? Like the Mishnah B'Yava says, first answer the first thing a person asks you, then you answer the second thing. He said, I ran away because I was scared. If I told him I'm going to go, you're going to take your daughters back, so I'm not going to let that happen. And then he goes back and, what the are you talking about, boy? Stuff my dad says. What are you talking about? Right, what do you mean I took, whoever took your gods? I didn't take your gods, right? With whoever you find the gods, he shall not live. In the presence of your people, you go check and see what's with me and take it back. Yaakov didn't know that Rachel took them. Rachel went back and took them. Now that's bad news, right? Because he just basically cursed Rachel without realizing that he was cursing Rachel. Yeah? So what happens? He goes ahead, Lavan comes to Yaakov's tent, and he'll lay his tent into the tent of the two maidservants, but he didn't find anything. When he left Leah's tent, he came to Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the trophies, she took the stuff, these idols, and put them on the camel's, on the sack of their camel, and she sat on them. Lavan came and checked everything, didn't find anything, and then when she came out and saw Rachel sitting on the camel, she says, listen, father, please don't be angry, but I can't get up because the way of the woman is upon me. Yeah? So I can't really get up. So he checked all around there, but he didn't find anything because she was sitting on them. Then Yaakov became angry because then he saw like, all right, man, you checked everything, you ain't got it. What the? He spoke up. He said, "What I do to you? What's my sin that you chasing me, right? And you went through all my stuff. What did you find, right? You go check it out and see and decide between the two of us. I worked for you for 20 years." I never messed with you. Nothing ever happened to any of your livelihood or your livestock. Everything was completely and totally good. I took exactly what I was supposed to take. I never stole from you day or night. As I always was. And during the heat of the day, by the frost of the night, I never took my eyes off your stuff. These 20 years in your house, I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 for your flocks. He was also there another 2 years before and after. And you changed my ways 100 times. And not the God of my father, the God of Avram, the dread of Yitzchak, been with me, you definitely would have sent me away with nothing. God saw how bad it was for me, and therefore it happened. That's why he gave you the smackdown last night. Then Lavan speaks up, and he says, what are you talking about, boy? These daughters are my daughters. These children are my children. This flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine, baby. Yet to you, my daughters, what could I have done? What could I do to them this day? Or to the children that have been born? So now come, let's make a covenant, I and you, and this will be a witness between me and you. Now, this is pretty messed up, right? He totally gets nailed, and he just goes on a whole rampage, but there's nothing to do with anything, right? He's like, yo, man, you cheated me like crazy. He's like, I cheated you? What are you talking about? That's mine. What? Let's make a covenant. So Yaakov's like, okay. Right? Yaakov took a stone and they made a covenant. And he said to his brother, gather stones, and they took them, they ate there on the mountain. Lavan called it Yigar Sa'adusa, which means something to do with the fields. And Yaakov called it Galed, which means that this gal, this mountain, this pillar will be like a witness between us. And Lavan said, this is between me and you, therefore it's called Galed. And he said to him, may Hashem keep watch between me and you, and we're out of each other's sight. If you ill-treat my daughters, if you are married wives in addition to my daughters, though no man may be among us, but see, God is a witness between you. Lavan said to Yaakov, here's the mound, here's the monument which I made between me and you. This will be a witness in the monument that I may not cross over past this mound, nor may you cross over past this mound for this monument for evil. May the God of Avram, the God of Nachor judge between us, the God of their father, and Yaakov swore by Isaac, and Yaakov slaughtered a feast. They had a whole thing over there, they broke bread, they spent the night there, bam. Love woke up early in the morning, kissed his son's daughter, blessed him, went on his way. Yaakov went his way, and the angels had made count to him. Yaakov said, wow, this is the God of the camp, so we called the name of it Machanaim. Whatever all this stuff means, we have to get a little bit more deep tomorrow to understand the whole discussion back and forth. And now we really are at time. Join us next time on Chomesh. All right, peace.
Peace out, Rabbi.
We. Peace. Love, love, love.